Hola. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of the Enchanted Caps painting. I'm kind of rushed for time, so I'm going to try to get this done quick. I've been trying to think of ways to make it nice and easy for everybody to sketch out the design and get all the colors right. So I think what I've pretty much decided is to do an underpainting that they can sketch with chalk on top of. So, I threw some colors on my palette. I've got white and black. I have my brown, that's going to be our underpainting color. Warm yellow, phthalo green, cobalt blue, red, and Venetian red, the rust color. All these colors, they should be able to, make their mushrooms or background or whatever, any color that they want. All right, so, and then I've got our standard brushes that we use, big square, filbert, and small round, and a piece of chalk. All right, so they're gonna need probably a couple of these little squares, or maybe just like a whole half of a paper towel. But gonna have them just get that a little bit damp and take some of their brown paint, and they're just gonna do a nice light underpainting, not too dark. We want it dark enough that they can see a sketch on top of it with chalk. So they can put this down. It does not have to be pretty. It's just there to tint the canvas so we can draw on it. And this dries relatively quick. It's usually dry within like a couple minutes. You can have them take a clean piece of paper towel and give it a rub to take off any excess paint, and that usually helps it be ready for drawing pretty much immediately. So I'm working on a gessoed canvas, so mine's a little bit different. It's holding moisture a little bit more. All right, so as far as the design goes, to just kind of stick to what's on our computer, they've got 3 mushrooms. They've got a couple big mushrooms and then a little small mushroom and then some little greenery around the bottom. So I would have them start off with the little mushroom because it's kind of centered, and just kind of draw that sort of bell shape. And it's got a nice big thick base. But once they have that on, then they can kind of gauge where the other ones will fit around it. So this one's going to be a lot taller. I'm going to draw my stem. Don't want my stem crossing this little guy. And then these ones, since they're taller, we're going to be able to see the underneath of them a little bit. So we're just going to kind of round off that bottom. Mine's going to run off the edge just a little bit. And they can just kind of have fun with their shape. They can use that pencil, or they can use their paintbrush. It can be a little damp to erase. All right, so I'm just going to create that under section. All right, and then we're going to have another one that kind of fits right in over here. And we're going to see a little bit of the underneath of it too. Just kind of work those stems in. And we've got our design. I don't like my mushroom. It looks like a frog. Okay, so pretty easy. That's kind of what I was struggling with, was how are they going to draw this? But with this, it's light enough that the colors will go over it. I'm just going to kind of play around with, I'm going to probably do the undersides of my mushrooms first. Maybe in a little brown. Now it's pretty much just kind of filling in the colors. I'd have them start with the stems and the underside first, and then work into the caps. And we're going to be doing a nice thick outline and black on these, so there's lots of room for error that they can kind of fix with their outline. All right, so I'm going to blend up maybe a little bit of my yellow, maybe a touch of that rust color, and a little bit of white. And I'm going to make this the stem needs to come up here and there like so. Gonna make my stems. Like I said, I'm just kind of sticking to what's on the website, the example. This one can go up in there a little bit. So that's kind of a nice earthy color. If they wanted to add any kind of little streaks, I don't know. This is probably still wet, too wet to do that. We'll do that here in a little bit. We're just going to get that base down. Okay, so once those are in, then they can start putting in the base of their mushroom caps. So the red, maybe they want to use the rust. Maybe they want to use a mixture. Maybe they want to mix it up. I'm going to mix a little bit of red and rust together, maybe just a little bit of white. I'm using the filbert. You don't need to be using little tiny detail brushes for this. Okay, so there's one. Bring that down just a little bit. Maybe I'll do this one just a little bit more to the rust tone. But I'm putting everything down the first coat with just a little bit of white. And then maybe this next one, maybe I'll use some brown. I'm just funking this one up a little bit. Maybe a little black, maybe I'll make it like kind of more brown. All right, so we've got our bases down. These have had a little time to dry, so I'm just going to take a little bit of that rust color and maybe just kind of streak a little bit of rust in here. Encourage them to have fun with this and colors and just have fun. All right, so we got some shadows and streaks in there. I think I'll come back underneath the bottoms and give them a little bit of a second coat. And then while those caps are drying, we'll start working on the background. So the background in the original one is like a turquoise color. So it's going to be your cobalt and your phthalo green. A little bit of white. Depending on how bright they want it. Maybe they don't even want to do blue. I think black would be kind of cool too. And if they don't get right up to the edges of those mushrooms, it's okay. They want to get kind of close, but like I said, I'm going to do some pretty significant outlining. So it'll help close that gap if there's a little gap in between. Also, with their background, if they want, you know, they could use a little bit more white in some places. If they want it to be a little bit brighter, they could throw a little bit of white in on top. Kind of fade it out. They could do a purple background. All right. I think the brown underpainting also helps because it kind of mellows out some of the bright colors a little bit. Makes it look a little bit more like to the earthy tones. Okay. Like I said, if they want to play with any of their white to brighten something up here and there. All right, I'm not going to try to make this perfect. All right, so once the background's done, then I would have them do a second coat on their caps of the mushrooms, but have them go just full color this time, no white, so that they get nice and bright or more of a deeper color. And what I like to do is take just a little bit of white while the paint's still wet, and up here at the top, just apply that and then have them blend it in so they get a little highlight up at the top. Just blend that in. Like so. And then I've got my dark brown one. I forgot to put my highlight on that other one. I'll just do them both at the same time. All right, and then once they've got this done, it would be break time. And then it's just into the details after break time. All right, so from here, then they're going to be sketching in their greenery. These little leaves. We want these to be nice and, I'm just going to do some little stems here. We want these to be nice and big and take up some room here. Kind of funky looking little things. Let's see, we'll do a leaf here. And a little one maybe coming up right here. Okay. So they can make their green. They can use the phthalo and yellow for more of a really, really nice bright green, and some white, because we'll need to use some white on that first layer. That gives them a really nice bright green. If they want to do a darker green, they would use the yellow and the cobalt, and maybe just like a smidge of red in there. That'll make it a nice earthy, more dark green. Okay. I'm going to use this bright green, and I'm just going to paint in the little leaves. Maybe I'll do the dark green right here. That one got big. Get those in, let those dry. Then they could put in their little dots. And they can use filbert, or they can use their little round brush. If they want perfect little circles, they'll just hold that filbert like at 90 degrees and do like a little turn. Or they can take the back end of the brush and do some little dots like so, if they don't want them to all be matchy-matchy. Kind of up to them. Let's see. Maybe I'll do like really big ones on this one, since it's so tiny. Okay. And they can also go up into the sky with the back end of that brush. Place a few little dots, and then they're gonna rub their finger like they're trying to rub it off of the canvas so that they get that nice, soft, glowy look. And then once hair, then it's like really like serious details. So gonna mix a little brown and black together so it's nice and dark. And maybe I'll just start with brown first. I'll start with a little brown, maybe a little brown in the rust. And do these ones underneath the mushroom cap. And I'm going to play with some highlights in my leaves. I'm going to make an orange. It's not really very orange. A little orange shade. And I'll pop some little strokes of some orange in there. And then these will get finished off with like a yellow highlight. Yellow and white. Sorry, I'm going so quick. Little highlight. Kind of want to make these dark ones a little bit darker. I don't feel like they're dark enough. I'll let that chill for a little bit. Maybe I'll do a little white highlight. And do just some little accents out here around some of these mushrooms. Out around some of the leaves. Once they're happy with their color, then you might want to wait and give them the black at the very end so it's nice and fresh. It hasn't gotten thick. But they need still, even if it is fresh, they still need to pull some water to the side, put a little water down, and then add a little bit of black to it so that their black is nice and thin. That way it's just really easy to outline. You might want to take a little break before the outlining just to make sure that everything is dry, and that way they don't run their hand through their paint. You might want to give them the tiny little brush too for the outlining, or number 1 and number 2 size. I prefer the bigger brush because I like some of my lines to be kind of chunky. But it is really super important that they keep their paint. Whoops, I went the wrong darn way because I'm doing it upside down. Oh well. Really important for them to keep that paint nice and fluid. Otherwise they'll fight. They will fight this part. And that's no fun. Put a few little marks in the stems. Let's see. Maybe I'll do a few little accents where I put my white. And just a little highlight right in there. And then I can just come in with the back end of my brush and just give these little glowies the little dot inside, and then I just kind of take my finger and just smush. It makes them look like little stars, little fireflies or something like that. Okay, I know this was a rushed version, but it's not a hard painting. So just kind of wanted to get down the underpainting portion. So, all right, I am out of here. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, bye.